Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstorats.com for amazing offers. And if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Call Bats to Rats today at 402-781-8691. That's 402-781-8691. Bats to Rats.
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill. Open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road.
Garage doors can be expensive. Are you keeping yours in the best condition possible? This is Cameron Hall with Doors Plus. Doors Plus is a locally owned business that prides itself on the fast, reliable, and friendly service. Doors Plus offers flexible scheduling so you can book an appointment that fits your busy day. My team and I will come out to your property, both commercial and residential, and provide you with the necessary information you need to make sure your garage door is in working and smooth condition. Give Doors Plus a call today at 402-590-5800 to book an appointment and learn more about our preventative maintenance plans. Doors Plus, garage doors, and more.
Where will your path take you, traveler? To seek fortune in a new career, or on a journey to distant lands for a well-deserved vacation? Wherever you go, one distraction could spell disaster. You can change your fate, adventurer. Don't drive distracted. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
There's nothing quite like the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese Beef. The Mercado offers unique ingredients you can't find anywhere else, open every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The full-service butcher shop and retail store is wonderful for meat lovers with their exclusive certified Piedmontese beef and assorted sausages, plus other quality meats, including pork, chicken, and a wide range of the freshest seafood. Plus, every Friday from 11 to 2, the Mercado serves up the best lunch in town on their Friday Feast menu. Stop in at the Mercado today at 84th and Havelock or visit their website at cpmercado.com to see current deals.
Sandhills Global is hiring. With their fast-paced, growing culture, they have hundreds of new openings in sales, marketing, traveling support, software development, web design, and more. Full-time roles offer a 4.5-day work week, along with flexible internships in most areas. Career and internship opportunities are available at our global headquarters in Lincoln, Nebraska. Find your fit today at www.sandhills.jobs.
This is On the Block with Strick and Austin. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Erick Strickland.
Strickland for three! And you're going to go out of here as the Big 8 tournament champion.
Middle school basketball coaching legend and Duke basketball shooting coach in his mind, Austin Orman. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Presented by Nebco. This is On the Block with Strick and Austin.
Welcome into On the Block. I'm Austin Norman, joined by Erick Strickland. Glad to be with you here. And we're going to have ourselves a day. We are going to have ourselves a day.
A day.
No updates as of yet on Trev Alberts, but we'll be talking about it all throughout the show. If you have any thoughts on this, 402-465-56 402-464-5685. Why would Trev Alberts leave? Why Texas A&M? What could be going on behind the scenes? Who does Nebraska target as a potential replacement? All of those questions and more on the table here for us today. This is On the Block, brought to you by Nebco. If you're looking for a new career, check out all their openings at nebcoinc.com. Make sure if you want to start a new career today, you go and check out Nebco. All right, Stricky.
Yeah.
Houston Chronicle reports early this morning that Nebraska Athletic Director Trev Alberts is the top target in Texas A&M's athletic director search. Obviously, this sent the Nebraska alarms into straight to DEFCON 1. We didn't hit 5, 4, 3, 2, straight to DEFCON 1. What in the world is going on? When you look at Trev Alberts, what he's done at Nebraska, it makes sense to me that he would be a top target for other jobs. The fundraising that he did for the new stadium renovations is there. You look at, I think, how he handled two potentially tricky situations with his two arguably his two highest profile programs in football and men's basketball. He gave both of those coaches a chance, didn't just cut bait. That's a unique kind of innovative approach that not many other, athletic directors have taken. And Strick, you think about his reputation here in Nebraska before about 9 o'clock this morning, steadied the ship, course corrected. After all the turmoil that Nebraska athletics had been through, the fans viewed Trev Alberts as, hey, he's here to stabilize the athletic department. He's going to be here. He's an alum. He's home. Not saying that was wrong at the time, but I think that narrative blew up today. With even if it's not true that he's leaving, even if he hasn't fully accepted the job yet, the fact that he's considering another job and has a decision to make, I think kind of throws a wrench into that for Husker fans. So first of all, just the job that Trev Alberts has done in his short time as Nebraska athletic director, to me, it makes sense that he would be, rumored for and interviewing for maybe some other jobs.
Well, again, there's question, and listen, I'm a proponent that you want to always make an assessment as to if this is for me, weigh the pros and cons. Why would I do it? Why would I not? Why do I stay? Have I left the place that I've, as you said, and just spoke about, whether or not you wrote the ship, you course corrected? What was your ultimate goal when you took the Nebraska job? Right? It's to look at those things, and obviously you set goals, and you set checkpoints, and you have different ways and metrics that you personally would weigh out. Then you check with family, because then you have to do assess whether or not family's good with that. Do they want to go? What's their thoughts on that? So there's a lot to think about. I say everyone should do that. I think everyone should do it. No, it doesn't matter what it is. I think everybody should take a look at what it is that is being proposed to them, and then weigh if it's a benefit to my family, if it's a goal that I want to attain. Is that my job to be a course corrector? Mm-hmm. Because look, Texas A&M, I think, is in a similar boat. Mm-hmm. Football programs consistently been down. A lot of mistakes have been made. Hired coaches and paid big bundles of money. They've got a lot of money. Mm-hmm. Would it be easier to do it there than it would here, as far as the networking and the ability to do so? Because guess what you got to do? You got to go down to Texas, and you got to identify a whole different group. Yeah, you have networks and you've met with different, but you got to go down there and revamp and redo the whole thing. Who you taking with you? Do you take people with you? Who you try? There's so many things to assess. So I say this. I think it's best that he didn't say anything yet.
Yes, correct.
Because somebody could have emotionally just jumped on the mic and just said, you know what? No, I am in the bride. That's the worst thing you can do, because then if you decide, ultimately, the money bag, I call it the chicken bag. The chicken bag is right. The family's right. Everybody is good and on the same page. And then you come out and say, well, no, I think I'm going. Then I think you look worse at the end of the day.
I'm with you on that. The question that Husker fans want the answer to is why, right? Your question of what did you come to Nebraska to do? I don't think that's a question, Strick, that can be fully answered right now, because he hasn't been here that long. There's no way that Trev Alberts has accomplished everything he wants to at Nebraska by now.
By the vision when you decided to come
big
here.
Picture.
Yeah.
So why would you run away from that if you haven't accomplished everything you wanted at your alma mater that you're happy to take?
If you're a Coming to America fan, you would understand what I just did there. So no, I'm not going to speculate or say anything, but I'm going to say this, right? If Austin, I had a ranch, right? The ranch is my vision. Mm-hmm. The ranch is, okay, I had a vision for a nice crop of soybeans and some corn over here, and maybe a little wheat over there. I had a vision of a big chicken coop with some fresh eggs back over on this way. On the other side, I had a vision of like a nice basketball court and some head of cattle down on the backside or by the pond. That's your vision, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's
you
just
worked
a
hard
bunch
to
of
get
land.
there.
You worked your tail. This is like you said, this is home.
Crown jewel.
This is your crown jewel.
Kingdom.
This is your retirement. This is your spot. This is your
Mm-hmm.
home. Most homes, what you're going to do is you would place some type of barrier, some type of fencing, some type of landscaping, something to basically, protect and shield your place. Me, personally, I'd probably put up some cameras. So I want to be able to have sight outside of sight, to be able to see things that's working. And so what happens sometimes, this is the things that we don't know. Sometimes things could be on cameras that we may not be able to see from the house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm putting things in place. Yes, all of the wheat and the corn and the soybeans, they've been planted and they're just starting to kind of sprout. They haven't hit season yet for harvest. All this, the animals, I haven't got them yet. I got a couple babies I'm waiting on delivery, That's Trev, I think, in the beginning stages of what Nebraska is, where it's headed, where it's trying to go, what he's seeing, what he's envisioning. Hasn't gotten there yet. Yes, lives in the home, just haven't gotten there. But there could be, and this is only speculation on my part, there could be cameras seeing, some trouble. There could be cameras having some things coming down the pipeline. There could be cameras seeing that, did I choose the right spot? Because, my neighbors, I don't really like, I don't like my neighbors. There's some stuff going on over there. Maybe there's some type of farm, and I'm not going to speculate on, let's just say some paraphernalia going on down the way that could possibly be of harm to my household. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we don't know. We don't know if it's just that he wanted to just get it started. He's going to take his time. He's going to go somewhere else. This is just getting it started for him to come back. Not come back to work here, but, just come back home. Or there's something going on the outside, maybe that doesn't look good, feel good, he doesn't like. Maybe somebody in the business sector that he's done business with rubbed him the wrong way. It's a lot of things that it could be. So we don't know because there hasn't been anything said. We don't know if he's leaving. There we go.
Which, like you said, it's probably best that there hasn't been anything said. Let the situation play out, make the decision to go or to stay, and we'll hear from that. We don't want to speculate on what it could be, on saying this is why, this is not why. But at the same time, it's interesting to tease out the hypothetical. So our goal on this show is going to be having an interesting conversation about, could it be this? Could it be that? I could see it being X. It's definitely not Y. When we have cold, hard facts, concrete evidence, one way or the other for a decision in the rationale, we will let you know. My gut tells me, Strick, is that it's not one thing, might not be two things. It's going to be a host of things playing together. If it was just the money, we would know by now. He would have accepted the job. We would see that he's making double or triple what he's making now, and he's gone.
It could be a power structure.
If it was power structure, Nebraska hasn't had a president for 7 months. That's a big deal. Maybe he wants to go to a place where he knows who his boss is. Okay, understandable. Does he want leverage? Is he trying to get something he doesn't have, and he's putting this A&M offer out there in order to get it? I don't know. Does it go beyond even the athletic department? Does it go even beyond the university?
Yeah.
Does it go beyond the Big Ten or the SEC? We don't know for sure. But what I feel comfortable saying is it's not any one of those things. It's going to be a confluence of factors coming together, swaying him to leave Lincoln for College Station if it happens.
It could be just the weather.
Could be the weather.
He could be mad that it just snowed a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, God darn it.
How do you know about that? You weren't here.
Oh, well,
How'd you know about that, Stricky? You weren't even here. Yeah, it's all about the weather for you, isn't it?
It could be that. At least you didn't make snow angels. Doggone it.
I wanted to, dang
it. The listeners didn't want to come by and wave at you and get you in the snow. But that's all right. It could be like, it could have been in the process of the hiring of Matt Rule. There was a lot of conflict and, it could have been some infighting with some regents. Like, listen, people can rub you the wrong way, right? Like it could be little things like this. And I'm not going to say this in the Trev Albert sphere, but I'm going to say it in the sphere of what happens sometimes. A new AD comes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a coach here. And just say the coach is Bobby Knight. And Bobby Knight, it's been heard that he's rubbed ADs wrong. He's winning ADs and he's gave him, 50
the how to, the what
birds
for.
and tell him, and he's kicked his chair over, and stuff like that.
And thrown another one.
Yeah, right? And then this new AD comes and says, I don't want any of that smoke. I don't like that. Yeah, Bobby, you're just going to have to find a
go enjoy
elsewhere
Texas
position.
Tech.
You know what I'm saying? So there's so many things that it could be. And this is why I love the take that you in the stance that you're taking, because I don't think it's going to be one off by any means.
I also don't think we ever know the full story.
Ooh.
And that sucks, because at such
you're
a
not going to hear
position,
the full. Very good. Go ahead.
In this state, with as much as this athletic department means to this many people, I don't want to be a stand-up capital J journalist. Oh, everyone has to know all the answers all the time. Some business is better conducted behind the scenes. Sometimes what you don't know doesn't hurt you, and it's okay. It's not your business. You don't have to know. But this feels like a situation Nebraskans, Husker fans, need to know a little more than I think they're going to. Even if we don't know everything, just to have one of the lenses of your glasses unfogged to see a little bit more clearly, I think would go a long way. But I think we get the story if it's just about the money, if it's just about the power structure. If it's just one thing, we'll get the story. Trev Alberts will say something we'll be able to read pretty clearly between the lines. The less that he says about this and the longer that time goes on, the less confident I am that we get the full story, because there are so many interwoven parts together, and we know how connected this state is at the highest levels. I don't want to be, again, up here as, there are these people pulling the strings and they're marionettes on a string at a puppet show. It's not that. That's not what I'm trying to say. But there are powerful entities in the state of Nebraska and in the state of Texas. What people want to get out will get out. What people don't want to get out won't. That's how it happens. So, Husker fans, prepare yourself not to know the entire story, but I take this upon myself and you. That's not to say that we shouldn't ask the questions. We shouldn't not hope to ever get a fuller picture.
What I would say is, if I was in a position, like, unfortunately I'm not, but if I was, I would say this, Austin. I don't like to leave things unfinished.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this has got to be one of the hottest times for Nebraska right now.
Mm-hmm.
Coming into the spring, what is normally happens in the spring, Austin?
That's a lot of good stuff happens.
Growth,
renewal, rebirth, fresh.
These trees have been bare now for months. You're going to start seeing leaves come together, and these bushes that have been bare, it's going to start. You're seeing an emergence in the spring that, it's been some life that we hadn't seen in a long time in Nebraska. In a long time, coming into the spring. Nebraska basketball women's are on the verge of knocking off one of the most prominent visual teams in women's college basketball right now, and that's the Iowa Hawkeyes.
College athletes of all time.
Right? You almost knock them off, and you go into overtime. It's great for the program in itself. You're going to go into the NCAA tournament. They're in. They're in. Them going that deep, taking them that far, in the eyes of those who make decisions, they're in. The men's team did what they had to do. If they don't win a game in the Big Ten tournament, they're in. Mm-hmm. They've done that. Yep. So everything that we said about the men, it's in their hands. It's right before them.
Spring practice is right around the corner.
Spring practice is right around the corner, and you were on the verge of doing something beautiful again, and that's getting to a bowl game. And really, had you had the quarterback, now you've got the top quarterback coming, great recruiting class. There just seems to be a fire in Nebraska volleyball.
It's Nebraska volleyball.
It's right there. Mm-hmm. So you're starting to see. Don't twist now. The doggone softball. Obviously they're hurt because of the injury to one of the best softball pitchers in the country, in the world right now. But Baseball, hopefully, is looking for a turnaround. Track is definitely always competitive. Swimming, bowling won a championship. Didn't they win? They won a championship, didn't they? Bowling's
always really good.
Right?
Their season's
good.
going on.
So you've got all these beautiful things starting to just seem to happen in the spring. And you want a boat? To go to that's what would be the psyche of that, right? When you have all of that happening, and you would, now we're not saying that this has happened, but we're just saying, and you would want to even consider a bolt going down to a place that would be like me right now on the humbug saying, I'm just going to move to unseen. Like I've been there now, but I'm just going to move to Thailand. I'm just moving. Don't know anybody. Don't know the landscape. Don't know all the details of things that are going on down there. Programs in shambles. I've got programs starting to turn around, Austin. Why would I bolt?
Great question. We'll keep asking it. We'll keep talking about this throughout the show. Again, 402-464-5685 if you have any thoughts. We have Evan Bland on the docket. He's a good guy to talk to about this as well. We'll get Evan's take and keep giving our own here as we continue on the block. Constructors is now hiring for all positions, with laborers starting at $23 and up based on experience. Constructors has immediate job openings for laborers, mechanics, bridge builders, operators, and drivers. Start your new career today. Constructors offers great pay, health, dental, and vision insurance, paid time off, paid holidays, and so much more. Join the crew today and be a part of Nebraska's oldest paving company dating back to 1908. For a complete list of openings and to apply online, visit constructorslincoln.com.
Are you in the market for a new garage door or need to repair your old one? It's wintertime, and that means snow, wind, and freezing temperatures, all things that can cause sticky locks and damage to your garage door. If you're experiencing any issues with your commercial or residential garage door during the winter months, call Cameron Hall and his team at Doors Plus. Don't be trapped outside in the cold because of a poorly maintained garage door. Call Doors Plus today at 402-590-5800 or visit them online at DoorsPlusLLC.com. Doors Plus, garage doors and more.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now, they've raised wages again, and they're hiring for production operators at $24.62 per hour, which grows to $28.97 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $33.36 per hour, with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates, with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or apply, go to continentaljobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
The Planet Fitness Black Card is packed with perks, not like other gyms.
Hi, can I bring a friend to work out? Oh, okay. Is my membership good at other locations? Okay. Do you have any other amenities?
But at Planet Fitness, the PF Black Card gets you tons of perks. Bring a friend for free anytime. Access to any of our 2,500 plus locations. Relax in the hydro massage and so much more. Join for just $1 down, $24.99 a month. Cancel anytime. Deal ends March 15th. See Home Club for details.
There's nothing quite like the Mercado by certified Piedmontese beef. The Mercado offers unique ingredients you can't find anywhere else. Open every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The full-service butcher shop and retail store is wonderful for meat lovers with their exclusive certified Piedmontese beef and assorted sausages, plus other quality meats, including pork, chicken, and a wide range of the freshest seafood. Plus, every Friday from 11 to 2, the Mercado serves up the best lunch in town on their Friday Feast menu. Stop in at the Mercado today at 84th and Havelock or visit their website at cpmercado.com to see current deals.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
The Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see partly sunny skies and more mild weather with an afternoon high around 71. Tonight, showers and storms are likely, below around 48. And tomorrow, we'll continue to see scattered showers throughout the day. It'll be breezy and cooler with the high around 57. I'm meteorologist Kyle Cluck for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Now back to On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We're back on the block. Austin Norman and Erick Strickland with you. We go to our VIP line brought to you by Aloe Fiber. They sponsor Channel 961 for us. Aloe Fiber, where they understand the importance of exceptional service with local heart. We bring in Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald to continue talking about the rumored departure of athletic director Trev Alberts. Evan, what a day, right? Here we are again. It feels like there's just no solid ground for Nebraska athletics to stand on. If it's not one person leaving, it's someone else. What was your gut reaction to the reports from Houston that Trev Alberts was the top candidate and close to taking the Texas A&M job?
Shock. I mean, it was shock. Like it made me try to think back in modern Nebraska athletics history about a decision that was made that was more surprising and seemingly out of nowhere. And I couldn't really think of one. I mean, you think of coaching firings over the years, but those were already, you kind of feel like something was coming. I don't know. Like I can't compare it to anything that I can think of with Nebraska athletics. I mean, on the surface, there are so many reasons why Trev would stay. He's an alum. The athletic department's going in such a strong direction. He's well positioned within the Big Ten. You can kind of just go down the list. So, just shocked that was even on the table. And I think as things have gone on here, what are we, 5 hours, 6 hours or so since that initial reporting, I think that's growing to be a major part of this thing too. I mean, typically when those sort of reports come out and you hear from national college football reporters that things are being targeted, and some of the language that they use, usually that means it's almost at the finish line and it's sort of a formality. So the fact that it hasn't been confirmed, that maybe a decision hasn't been made, makes it a pretty unique situation on a lot of fronts. And so really all that we're left with at this stage is speculation, trying to connect the dots. It's going to come down to what Trev says eventually, whether he stays or leaves. But yeah, just very surprising. Something I don't think anybody saw coming before this morning.
We'll circle back on the if he doesn't actually go part here in a little bit. Stricky and I want to talk about that for sure. But let's go back even 18 months or so. Chancellor Ronnie Green leaves. He's out the door. 6, 7, 8 months ago, Ted Carter announces that he's going to Ohio State. And that's really where I think all this starts, Evan, is that Ted Carter took the president job at Ohio State, needed an athletic director, hired Ross Bjork out of Texas A&M. Hey, here's Texas A&M with its AD opening targeting Nebraska's athletic director. When you look at it from that standpoint, do you think that Trev Alberts would be considering leaving Nebraska because of something Nebraska did or didn't do? Would he be considering leaving Nebraska because of something Texas A&M is promising to do? Do you think it's something else?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's kind of is he running from something or running towards something? And you look at A&M. I mean, obviously the money component with that athletic department is well known. They're not afraid to pay buyouts, as we've seen with their football coaches through the years, and especially recently. So, I guess you can't rule out the possibility that they made sort of a Godfather offer that you just can't refuse. But from a competitive standpoint, I don't know that Texas A&M is in a better position to win than Nebraska is. Big Ten and SEC are both part of the so-called Power 2. Plus, A&M just hired a football coach. That decision was just made. And you look at what Nebraska has going. I mean, the guy that Trev Alberts hired is going into his second year with a ton of momentum in that role. You look at some of the other programs that are going on at Nebraska. I mean, the guy that Trev Alberts somewhat controversially decided to keep in Fred Hoiberg has his team headed toward the Big Ten tournament and NCAA tournament. So there's that, and a lot of the other sports that I know he attends and pays attention to are doing well, from soccer to obviously spearheading the volleyball day success last fall. So I don't know that there's something at A&M from that standpoint that's any different. The institutional knowledge that Trev has at this place is deep, is extensive. It goes back to the 90s, and you're totally starting over at a place like A&M, where the political structure, the climate there is just a lot different than it is in Nebraska. So I don't know about that. I think it probably, you mentioned some of those moves. It probably in some respects has some commentary on Nebraska's leadership structure. I know Trev has expressed, what do you want to call it, frustration maybe that Nebraska still doesn't have a president. There's some turnover that's still gone on in the athletic department. So I don't know. And I know that sometimes Trev too has talked about the idea that Nebraska or whomever isn't necessarily guaranteed a seat at the table. If you're in a major conference now, there's this idea that if you're not, living up to your end of things competitively, maybe that's not always a guarantee. So I think at this point we're kind of left speculating, trying to connect some dots. But until he comes out and kind of says what it is, that's really all we can do.
That is really all we can do. We're talking with Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald here. And Evan, I know that, you as a reporter, as a journalist, deal in facts, trying to find the truth, find the story, get to the bottom of it. Fans obviously want the truth. They want the story, maybe not the same capacity or ability to get to the bottom of it. But I know you've been on social media seeing the reaction from fans, and a lot of them feel burned, almost betrayed to some degree. And I think part of it stings even more because of all the rigmarole around Scott Frost, an alum coming back home. Didn't work out. Trev Alberts, gave him that second chance, didn't work out. But Trev Alberts being viewed as the stabilizing force for Nebraska, right? Just through sheer force of will, through that institutional knowledge you mentioned. Like, hey, he's one of us. There's no way he's going to leave. Like, he's home. He's at his destination job. How much of that sense of just betrayal are you feeling from Husker fans, out in the blogosphere and social media? And how much of that do you think stems even back to how the Scott Frost tenure ended?
I don't know about how much the Frost aspect comes into play. I mean, at the time, it felt like maybe Nebraska should have made a move. And kind of incidentally, you talk about a what if they had decided to move on from Scott Frost. Back at that time, Kalen DeBoer was a guy who was on the market and maybe could have been here. So who knows kind of how things might have changed there. But I think generally speaking, fans have kind of moved on from that aspect of things just because of the Matt Rule hire and how well things kind of are going. And, sort of the ends justify the means a little bit on that front. But yeah, I mean, I just think it's shock. I mean, you're talking about a guy who was a star football player here, obviously graduated from here, was from Iowa, but spent a lot of his time in the state of Nebraska. He was at UNO as an athletic director as well. And so you don't expect this. And you listen to Trev talk. He's obviously really articulate. He's thoughtful. He's forward thinking. He's creative. Just the South Stadium renovation that's set to begin next winter. Like, that's not something you do if you're kind of just keeping the seat warm and passing the time. Like, you can't be a major administrator in college athletics right now unless you're able to think outside the box and willing to get creative in what sports can look like moving forward, with everything from NIL to the portal to realignment to television rights. Like, there are so many things on that plate. And if you talk to him about it, like, he's thought about all of it and he can articulate it and lay it out there really well. And I think that's the other surprising thing, is that as calculated, as prepared, as intelligent as Trev Alberts is, he's not a guy, in my experience, or I think in his reputation, for someone who would have a knee-jerk reaction and just make a jump because it felt right in the moment. Like, I think there would be a lot of thought that would go into a move like that. I think he understands the fans and kind of what the reaction to this sort of thing would be. And so, I mean, I think all that goes into it. The fact that he hasn't made a decision yet, who knows if there were some second thoughts, maybe there were some information that was leaked prematurely, perhaps on A&M's end, to expedite the process. There are a lot of ways that you can go with this thing right now, but I do think his reputation and what he's done at Nebraska, his background, adds to the intrigue all the more.
Let's do this, and I'm just gonna toss this and spitball it, because as you have stated and as others on the stream listening has stated, and we have talked about as well, it's all speculation at this point, and because we don't know what we don't know, right? But let me throw this out here, Evan. Steve Peterson, Scott Frost, Coach Solich, others that have had some tenures here, coming back home, and a lot of them, it took 20 years for Coach Solich to come back. Scott Frost may not ever come back. The only one that's really kind of been unscathed is Coach Osborne, and at one point in time, they wanted to get rid of him. Could it be a sense in what you're hearing out there potentially of, a man's love is never really at his home. He's not really loved until he gets outside of his home, right? Could it be something along those lines potentially? I mean, we just don't know.
Well, I mean, Nebraska's made a commitment to Trev. He signed an extension in the offseason. His contract is structured in a way that he's going to be among the highest paid ADs in the Big Ten and nationally. So, they've made a commitment to him financially. I know, people in the university have wanted him or encouraged him to maybe think about being the president over time, and he's liked his spot as an athletic director. So I think part of me kind of just goes back and wonders what's Trev's ultimate ambition, and maybe it's different than what we thought. I feel like maybe I need to rethink what his ambitions are. Maybe it's to be something bigger than an athletic director. Maybe it's to be eventually a conference commissioner. Maybe it's to be an influencer in whatever college football is becoming or will become down the road. So
Governor?
maybe that. I mean, who knows? I not at Nebraska. He's taken the A&M job, but I think some of those motivations come into play there as well for what that could look like. But play on the other side of it too. Imagine a scenario where he stays. Mm-hmm. I think more people would actually appreciate him than be upset. I think people in a moment like this, when it's hanging in the balance, I think you kind of realize the value that he has brought and the things that he has done and how hard he would be to replace if Nebraska had to go back out and do a national search. I think in a lot of ways, people could move on from sort of the dalliance with A&M if he stays, and maybe ultimately the outcome would be a renewed appreciation for what he brings to the department.
I think you're onto something there, and I could see that going both ways, Evan, where some people be like, holy cow, we're back from the brink. He decided to stay, whatever it was that swayed his mind back home at the end of the day. Thank goodness for that. We're moving on. But I think there's an equal or close to similarly sized portion of the fan base that would say, okay, we saw your true colors. It really isn't about us. So I think there'd be kind of a split in the fan base for people that are, they're like, yes, we're back. We got him. He stayed. He realized it. But I feel like we know Nebraska fans and how they can remember things, right? And how they hold on to this. So I think there's a sizable chunk of the fan base that would be on the other side of, you almost left us. We're not letting that go. And I don't know if this fan base can take like another fracturing or a split like that.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know. You think back to Tom Osborne early in his coaching career, he openly interviewed for the Colorado job and he decided to stay. And I think people moved on pretty quickly in that regard. There have been other head coaches here. I know, Bo Pelini had his brief talks with Miami a little more than a decade ago now. Mm-hmm. You look at some of the other coaches, like sometimes like you almost just have to acknowledge that if you're really good at what you do, that there's going to be interest and maybe you're going to listen to that interest, but it doesn't always mean that you're going to move on. Now, I would imagine, and maybe I'm going out on a limb here, but I would imagine that Trev would not be happy with how things broke today. And I think maybe that's something we'll never know is why or who leaked that information today. Maybe it's somebody on Texas A&M's end. I've talked to a couple media people down there who have said that their board of regents are fairly notorious for being loose-lipped and kind of talking maybe out of turn a little bit. And so it's possible that this was more of a early dialogue, although that does kind of go against what we heard from some of the national reporters that put this stuff out there when usually they're talking with agents on that end to get that stuff out there. So I don't know. It's a really fascinating situation. On its surface, there doesn't seem like there's a compelling reason for Trev to want to make what seems like a lateral move. So all I can go back to is, maybe it's a reflection on the internal leadership structure at Nebraska. Maybe it's a leverage play related to something, a president hire or something else. And maybe we'll learn some about what that is, and maybe we won't. But definitely a fascinating situation, and I think just made all the more so by the fact that it's been unresolved here for now like 6 hours.
Let's tease this out a little further. You brought up the Osborne situation where he interviews with Colorado, comes back. Well, he made good on coming back to Nebraska by winning national championships. Bo Pelini, dalliances with Miami, 9 or 10 wins. So did enough to keep the fan base happy for a while. If Trev Alberts does make the decision to stay at Nebraska, what does he have to do? What does Nebraska have to accomplish for him to still be viewed favorably? Like if he comes back and Nebraska is still 500 in football, once every 10 years, basketball tournament team on the men's side, volleyball is, Elite Eight, Final Four, not national champions. Like, does Nebraska have to win national championships for Trev Alberts to kind of re-burnish that legacy, or what has to happen?
I mean, honestly, I think he just has to keep doing what he's doing. Like if you're already in the process of renovating South Stadium, so that was a Trev Alberts vision. If that thing materializes the way that it could, that's a major legacy piece. How can they maybe build on Volleyball Day in Nebraska? I mean, that was at least in part his brainchild. The red carpet experience has been a positive thing for many in the community. You look at the football facility that's nearing completion right now with the locker room and the weights and everything else. Like, I think you continue on that path, and if basketball continues to trend the way that it's going, baseball's off to a good start. Volleyball obviously continues to do what it does. Softball lands a major recruit. So, like, I think if things continue to trend the way that they are, like that's great. Like that's why Trev was getting interest in the first place. A lot of this stuff was at least in part because of the things that he contributed and the momentum that he's brought to it. So I don't know that it necessarily ups the ante for what his expectations are. I think it's you continue to appreciate having somebody in this really fluid landscape of college athletics who's willing to be creative, who's willing to be thoughtful, who's willing to really be a 24/7 resource for the university and to be a spokesperson for Nebraska in the Big Ten. I think all those things ultimately are something people would be thrilled to have if he stays.
You mentioned Husker baseball. Obviously, plenty of ties between Nebraska and Texas A&M down there with Rob Childress, Will Bolt. If Trev Alberts does go to A&M and takes Rob Childress again, Husker baseball fans might riot. But, Evan, since we last talked to you, 2 out of 3 the Huskers took from South Alabama. They won game 1 of their weekday series against Wichita State. Over these last 4 games, what have you seen from this Husker baseball team?
I mean, they're figuring some things out for sure. I mean, you drop your home opener, which you're not looking to do, obviously, but the offense is woken up. They're cutting down on their strikeouts. It's still kind of a fluid lineup. I mean, their starting 9 at Wichita State yesterday was quite a bit different. I think they're looking to get Josh Overbeek, their starting third baseman, back. Maybe today, maybe this weekend, if his finger's ready for that. So they're still working through some things there, but they're finding ways, man. And I think that's probably the biggest takeaway from the last couple of weeks with this team is that they're not playing perfect. I mean, they had a 5-error game that they won. They struck out 14 guys, struck out 14 times and stranded 14 runners last night and still found a way to win. They've still been tinkering with the weekend rotation, but they're finding ways. They're getting some 2-out hits. They're making plays when they need to. The bullpen depth has been good or maybe better than advertised. So I think just the DNA of the group is showing that this is, these are guys that are going to find a way. And I think when roles can continue to be established, when the weather warms up, when they get some guys back from injury, I do think there's every reason to think, especially coupled with this strong start, that this will be a team that'll be in that at-large NCAA tournament conversation here pretty much the whole way.
Are we officially calling this the Mike Sirianni revenge series with Wichita State, or is that down the docket?
Well, I don't know how many connections there are anymore. That's a new staff over there. For Sirianni coming over here. For what it's worth, there are a ton of connections there. It seems like every third player on Nebraska's roster had a Wichita State offer at some point. Jace Kaminska was, who's not on the team anymore, but he was a transfer from there to Nebraska a year ago. Wichita State has an outfielder named David Johnson, who was a Husker briefly during the fall a couple years ago too. So a ton ton of like interpersonal connections, I guess. And these are two programs that recruit the same guys pretty frequently. So maybe there is a little bit of extra juice in there, and I'm sure Nebraska would love to get that little mini sweep tonight.
Going for it tonight on the road in Wichita. Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald with us. Check him out on Twitter at Evan Bland OWH. Evan, thanks for your time. Thanks for your insight. We'll catch up next week.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Evan Bland with us on our VIP line, brought to you by Aloe Fiber, where they understand the importance of exceptional service with local heart. Y'all got a lot of questions on Trev Alberts. Is he leaving Nebraska? Is he staying? What could it mean either way? Stricky and I have more thoughts. We'll take a break. We'll get our thoughts back up on the airwaves. We want yours still, too. 402-464-5685. More on the block next.
The Planet Fitness Black Card is packed with perks, not like other gyms.
Hi, can I bring a friend to work out? Oh, okay. Is my membership good at other locations? Okay. Do you have any other amenities?
But at Planet Fitness, the PF Black Card gets you tons of perks. Bring a friend for free anytime. Access to any of our 2,500 plus locations. Relax in the hydro massage and so much more. Join for just $1 down, $24.99 a month. Cancel anytime. Deal ends March 15th. See Home Club for details.
Liberty Law Group is committed to the defense of liberty for those accused and the pursuit of justice for those injured. Liberty Law Group's relentless trial attorneys specialize in criminal defense and personal injury law. Navigating the legal system can be stressful, overwhelming, and full of uncertainty. Liberty Law Group is here to do the heavy lifting for you. We believe in treating every client with respect and understanding. When you're in need of legal assistance, trust Liberty Law Group to fight for you. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. That's 877-42-LIBERTY.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. The last few years have been wild, but we've been here for you through all the ups and downs, and we'll be here for you when you need us the most, for all your travels and for your day-to-day driving. With winter conditions causing problems all over town, the last thing anyone needs this year is constant car troubles. Let us help you drive in peace and make sure you drive to work and to winter destinations safe. A1 Automotive, 11th and L Street downtown, always honest answers.
Your child was embarrassed when you arrived at their basketball game. 75% of parents or guardians report current alcohol use. Drinking alcohol can cause harm to children and loved ones. By drinking less, your child will be excited to see you at their basketball game. If you or a loved one is looking for help, find a treatment facility near you at findtreatment.gov. For immediate support, call, text, or chat 988.
Brought to you by Nebraska DHHS in partnership with SAMHSA.
Power Combo BOGO? Huh?
Yes, if you purchase an air conditioner, you receive a furnace completely free. At John Henry's, our professionals want to ensure you are comfortable in your home all year long, no matter what Nebraska has to throw at us. Call today to schedule your free estimate and learn more about the free furnace waiting for you. Give John Henry's a call today.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air.
And electrical.
This is Brad with Midwest Bank, proudly serving our Nebraska communities for over 70 years. We're a community bank, making local decisions, supporting local organizations, and helping local businesses and farms succeed. We are dedicated to serving our clients and helping them meet their financial needs with sound, innovative banking solutions. From an array of checking and deposit accounts, cash management services, to small business, real estate, and ag lending. We're here for you, your community, your bank, Midwest Bank. Find out more at midwestbank.com. Member FDIC.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Spring often marks the beginning of severe weather, which can lead to power outages. LES wants you to be prepared before the storm. Restock your emergency kit, update your info with LES, and if you encounter an outage, report it at les.com/report.
Ironhide Construction is hiring. They're looking for hardworking, self-motivated individuals who are team players. Ironhide Construction has openings for an experienced project manager, estimator, apprentice, skilled laborer, and erector or installer. They will train the right people and make sure you understand the position and requirements. At Ironhide Construction, it's own it, be honest, and do it right. Apply today and learn more about their other benefits at ironhideconstruction.com, where they're committed to you every step of the way.
Finally, a good reason to have a smart house. Just say, Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket, and we'll magically start playing. How's it work? Nobody knows. Don't ask questions.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
This is On the Block with Strick and Austin. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Erick Strickland.
Strickland for three! And you're going to go out of here as the Big 8 tournament champion.
Middle school basketball coaching legend and Duke basketball shooting coach in his mind, Austin Orman. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Presented by Nebco. This is On the Block with Strick and Austin.
We're keeping the conversation going here on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Live streams available for you, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Thanks to Starter Heyman Jewelers for those, as well as Allo for giving us channel 961 on their wonderful cable network statewide. The news today, Trev Alberts, rumored to be leaving the athletic director position at the University of Nebraska for Texas A&M. I'm Austin Norman, joined by Husker Hall of Famer, 9-year NBA vet. My pick for replacement, if Trev Alberts does leave, Mr. Erick Strickland. Stricky, to set the hour up, you saw a tweet from someone, I forget the name off the top of my head.
Adam Kruger.
Adam tweeted what?
Well, Adam Kruger threw this out here, and in the Starter Heyman text line, you guys are also welcome to chime in, as we always appreciate you guys' additions to the content that we share here on 93.7 The Ticket. Adam Kruger at Adam Kruger TV says this, and I thought it was pretty relevant to the situation. So, if reports are accurate, Alberts would leave his alma mater and football coach that he handpicked right before the largest stadium renovation in program history to take a job in an oversaturated football state to oversee a first-year head coach that he did not hire. It makes sense. Hashtag Huskers. I thought that was, pretty real. It was a great question to pose. What's your thoughts on that? How do you feel about what was said? Because that's the way I would look at it, Austin. It just, let's just say this. In today's world, sky's purple, front is back, right is left. I mean, it's crazy the way sometimes the mind of some think in today's society. But I think that's pretty relevant. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. I mean, Evan said dang near the same thing I said. Just as I'm thinking about it, I'm looking at spring. I'm looking at all of what's going on here in Lincoln and Nebraska. And as Adam said, down at the stadium, wrestling's hot. I'm shout out to who was on that on the stream? Kenny on the stream. Shout out to Kenny. Wrestling's hot too. So I mean, you've got just so much going on. It's about to start thriving. You're already in the Power 2. Is that a horizontal move at this point? I think it's a less than horizontal move, to be honest. They just made you dang near one of the top 80 payees.
You're top 10. Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, make it make sense for me.
Text line, we know you're Husker fans, right? You're going to view Texas A&M as a step down. I think you and Evan Strick make a good point that it feels lateral. Neither program in football really seriously competing for national championships. Both should have every resource in the world at their disposal to get to that level. A lot of questions to get to. We'll stick on football since we're already here. Railroader Matt asks a
real quick. I would venture to say, I'm just going to be quick. I would actually venture to say that Texas A&M has probably more resources than Nebraska. I'm just going to throw it. I think that's the case. There's
Nebraska might have a higher percentage of resources, if not a greater total number.
Right. I also think that that's a troubling position to be in, especially in the SEC when you're looking at the power structure of it. I think there's more upside, to be honest, at Nebraska potentially. I'm just being honest.
Sure.
I think you have more upside potential.
Let's go to Railroader Matt on the text line here. So if Trev Alberts leaves, what does Matt Rule think when he talked about stability with leadership and in 2 years that leadership is gone? Does Rule leave after the season? For reference, Matt Rule said and has credited 2 people with being the primary drivers for getting him to Nebraska. Number 1 was Ted Carter. Really respects Ted Carter, who left Nebraska to go be the president at Ohio State. The other was Trev Alberts, his persistence, his vision for the future. Matt Rule loved, could get behind, could fall in line with. Does Matt Rule leave after the season just because those 2 guys are gone? No. I highly doubt that. But what I think happens, Strick, is it makes him that much more likely to listen if a lateral job or better makes a call to his agent. I'm not saying Matt Rule, is a job hopper by any means. I'm just saying if the 2 biggest reasons you took a job left, whatever your job is, you, Strick, you, anyone on the text line listening, if the 2 biggest people that motivated you to take this job left, how motivated would you be to stay? How good of a hire would your company have to make to get you to trust the next boss who didn't hire you, has no connection to you? We also talked about this on the happy hour, Strick, a little bit, was, well, if you want Matt Rule to stay, he gets to pick the next AD. No, that's not how that works. Strick, we talk about this in the NBA all the time. Think about, Kevin Durant and James Harden picking Steve Nash to be their coach.
Right.
Whenever players get to pick the coach, it doesn't go well. Think about Giannis and Adrian Griffin up there in Milwaukee. Do the players deserve to have input? Do Nebraska coaches deserve to have input on who their boss is? Absolutely. Leaving the decision up to them, if you're taking me at my word that players choosing coaches doesn't go well, coaches choosing athletic directors probably doesn't go well, but I'm also willing to admit it hasn't been tried. It would be a radical step for the Board of Regents to, hire a search firm, say, or the president, if they ever get one in place, to hire a search firm, say, hey, Nebraska coaches, here are some candidates for the job. We want you to be our interview committee. You won't handle the contracts or anything, but we want you, head coaches of every varsity sport at Nebraska, to be the interview panel. If you think you can work for this person, if you like their vision and what they're presenting, you can bring your recommendation to us. We'll figure out the contract details later. I don't love the sound of that, but maybe that's just because that hasn't been done traditionally. Maybe that's the route Nebraska goes if Trev Alberts leaves, because Matt Rule is a big part of that athletic department. Fred Hoiberg, Amy Williams, Mark Manning, Rhonda Ravel, Will Bullitt, Justin St. Clair, down the list.
Yeah.
The coaches, I don't think, deserve to have the final say if I'm treating them in this example as players choosing the coach, but they certainly deserve some input and to meet the person that's going to be their boss before they're officially hired.
Yeah. I think you're right, but I would throw this out here. Do coaches have transfer portals?
Sure seems like they do, doesn't it?
Do they get a free release if they decide that the boss is about to come in they don't like? Do they get a free severance? I mean, I'm just throwing it out. That was just being funny. But no, I think, like, in the same manner, right, as a player would love, like, if you're Giannis Antetokounmpo, or if you're Nikola Jokic, or if you're not so much LeBron now, but let's just say you're Luka Doncic. And now these are young guys. I'm talking about young guys who have a decision to make as to whether or not they're going to jump into free agency, whether or not the vision for this team fits kind of their mindset. And I think you would advise those type of conversations to happen. You would advise them, because you would want them to be on the same page. Just step that up to the next level. As a coach, or as someone that's going to be taking a high-level leadership position, you want those parties to sit in the room and have a discussion, and you want to understand kind of where they want to take it. Do you feel that there's an end to this yellow brick road? You want to have those type of thoughts, and I just don't know that you would not do it without having that type of situation. Now, here's a good analogy for you, Austin, that I could just throw out, because it's one that could just give you an example to what I'm saying. There was a time when there was a new person was going to come in. Okay, like this is in Dallas. They brought in Jason Kidd as a player, right? But the vision of what the little general
Avery
Johnson had for the team was like a magnet. How you try to put
north
the
and north,
together?
south and south. Doesn't work.
It didn't work, right? So those pieces and not having those discussions and being on the same page led to frustration. It led to animosity. It led to anger. It led to voicing your conversation or your thoughts in media, and it didn't go very well. And so that's what you don't want. You don't want that type of friction, right? You don't. You want it to be seamless, and therefore, if you just feel somebody's being dumped on you, and you don't really have a vision for that specific entity that you're going to merge with, it may not work well.
It might not. Still a lot to get to as we talk about Trev Alberts facing a decision to stay in Lincoln or head to College Station. Where does he want to be the athletic director at Nebraska or at Texas A&M? I'm going to go back to something Evan brought up, Strick. Let's say, hypothetically, Trev Alberts decides to stay at Nebraska. This was all just a ruse, just a flash in the pan. He's back at Nebraska. Do you agree with Evan that he would be welcomed back with open arms? That people would be thrilled to have him back? Or are you like me where people might look at him with more of a side eye or a raised eyebrow? Like, come on, bro, what you doing?
No, not at all. And here's why. Because, like I said, Evan said the same thing I said. I would advise anybody that's being asked about something. We don't know if it's for leverage. We don't know what it's for. I mean, it can't be for leverage. He's got a new deal. So that does eliminate, you know how you play Sudoku?
Yeah.
You kind of got to put the number in there. Sudoku?
Sudoku.
Is it Sudoku?
Sudoku.
Okay, Sudoku. Okay, my bad. You play Sudoku, and you got to put the number in there, and it may not fit, it may not work, and you kind of erase it out. Two numbers in the same. Yeah. Why not? Why not have a discussion? I would advise everybody to do so, because you get comfortable. You get comfortable with each other, with each other's relationship. It's the same thing that you would do if you have an insurance company that you pay for your car. When you pay for your car's insurance, guess what? The car insurance gets comfortable for you when your insurance not lapses, but when it goes over, renews, they may add a little, money to it. And not knowing that you can go out there and search and find a better deal, a better opportunity. You can go over to State Farm and just check around.
Vinny
maybe
Krikak,
Geico,
our boy.
Maybe you know what I'm saying? It might be better. So I always advise to at least listen. Have a conversation.
So on that front, yes, why not? What does it hurt?
Yeah.
But then
so now,
again,
you can't be mad.
Like Evan was saying, probably didn't want Trev Alberts to leak it, but it's business as usual, right? These conversations are happening all the time.
Yeah.
More so than we even know. But I think part of it, Strick, is kind of what I brought up to Evan. Trev Alberts is supposed to be one of Nebraska's own. Even though he's from Iowa, where he's born, played high school, whatever, he chose to come to Nebraska. He didn't have to leave Omaha to become athletic director here. But Strick, I think for a lot of fans, when Trev Alberts decided to become the athletic director at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, it felt final. He's home. It's stable. This is his career-ending job unless he goes to be a commissioner or something. If Trev Alberts was leaving to become Big Ten commissioner, Big 12 commissioner, college football playoff governor in the new system, college football czar, whatever you want to call it, I think that's a different look. But the fact that Trev Alberts is in negotiations with a school that you used to be in the same conference as, that's in a rival conference now, Big Ten versus SEC, Husker fans could understand if you went to some big national job. Hey, you did it. We appreciate your work. We're bummed it came too soon for us, but we get it. But to take that lateral horizontal move, again, at least in the fans' eyes, man, I can understand how they'd be feeling a little burned by that.
Yeah. And again, we do want to make sure that we're not saying that this is the case. We're not saying that he has taking a position, or he is going to be leaving next month, 2 months from now, or 6 months from now. We're not saying any of that. It's just, you have to ask the question. I mean, because there is conversations. This doesn't come out, because otherwise he would have dispelled it. He would have went immediately to any marketing arm or any media arm or center and said, this is not accurate. This is fake news. You know,
well, think about the Alabama coaching search. All these coaches that said, you know, posted the picture from inside their kitchen. No, I'm staying right here. I'm happy where I'm at. And yeah, they got some money to stay, but that was quick. Their agents knew they were in these conversations. They worked with the university behind the scenes to get it. And that is why I'm fascinated to see if this is a leverage play. Here's my question. What does Trev Alberts want that he doesn't have at Nebraska? Someone on the text line, see if I can find it here. A man named Ashley says it might be about the money. Not the salary, but all the other money A&M have, he wouldn't have to fundraise nearly as often. Think about the legwork Trev Alberts had to put in to help finish the North Stadium football, full sport, new football complex redo. Think about the money he had to raise to get the South Stadium project at least started and on the table. Maybe he's tired of doing that. Maybe he wants to go to a place where money isn't an issue. If you look at what they did with Jimbo Fisher, trying to invest in a new baseball facility, sure, maybe I could buy that. But if this is for more money on his contract, I don't know if I like that look. Again, I don't fault him getting his money, but I can understand why, if he's already compensated like a top 10 athletic director in the country, what's really the difference between, being number 8 and being number 1? And I can understand why Husker fans would maybe, A, want the university to pony up. If the university is not willing to, then B, why they might feel a little burned, like, hey, dude, we're doing the best we can. Don't you recognize that?
Good point. Yeah, I mean, I just don't see a lateral. I just don't. There's got to be other outside or outliers that would make someone to decide to do something laterally. There's got to be some type of disagreement to where it just comes down to the point where I just can't work with you. It's I've tried this. This is just not going to work. Somebody in the Regents department rubbed them the wrong way. You asked for something and they literally are, tossing you out the garbage and basically just doesn't value your decision making. I don't know. There's so many other things to think about. I just have no clue as to what those would be, but that would only lead me to say, let's just take it from a transfer perspective, right? Many young men transfer for different reasons. Some transfer because they got a better NIL deal. Some young men and women transfer because they just don't feel that the opportunity was given to them. Some people just didn't like the coach. Some people said, doggone it, let me just throw this out here. There's a young man, like, just for example, and this is not any tampering or nothing like this, or I'm not in this discussions, or I don't know what the heck is going on. It would be like young Will Kyle that's up at South Dakota State. I'm only saying this because he's a Bellevue West grad. Young man's balling his tail off. He's killing the game. And he's just like, you know what? I just want to step up and test the waters and see what opportunities is better out there for me at the next level. I want to challenge myself. Maybe there's something at Texas A&M is a challenge for him. Sometimes when you're at home, you get comfortable. You know everybody. Everybody knows you. You've done business with these people before. Maybe you just want the challenge of building something else, meeting new folks, expanding your coast and your territory, stepping into a new territory that you're unfamiliar with, and you want to basically start to bridge gaps into that. It could be any of those types of things, right? When you've been doing business with the same people that you've known, I mean, because guess what? He's been right up the road. He's dealing with a lot of the same people he dealt with in Omaha. So it could be that he just wants to get into another environment, do it different.
And again, we can't blame him for that necessarily. If he really views it as a professional challenge, like he thinks he can do more good at A&M than he can at Nebraska. Okay, cool. Who are we to stop the guy from living his dreams? Greg from Lincoln, did you two take a lateral move that paid better? Maybe, but again, I feel like the right thing to do is give your employer a chance to match, right? If you like it where you're at, I don't begrudge anyone getting theirs, but my perspective is if I'm going to leave, I'm going to do everything I can to stay. If I really like it, if money's the only object, I want to give the place I'm at a chance to match, this other offer on the table. If they don't think I'm worth that, then okay, I'll go where I feel valued. But I think there's a fine line between, some of that stuff as well. And this is where I want to get into this here too, Strick. Man named Ashley follows up and says, if someone says, hey, I've noticed you're good at your job, can we interview you for an open position we have? I see no harm in taking the interview. Absolutely. And that's what you've been saying.
Yeah.
And again, this is where I'm going to relate it back to head coaches and assistant coaches, where why would you not always be looking to move up, right? Kalen DeBoer at Washington to Alabama. Why would you not take that interview? As much as you might love the Pacific Northwest and Washington, Jed Fish, at Arizona, moving up to Washington. Washington has more football history than Arizona does. Washington's going to the Big Ten. That's a safer, more stable job for Jed Fish than Arizona to the Big 12. So, yes, that's absolutely a consideration. But then, Strick, I think about it on this level too. Think about all the turnover that John Cook has had from his coaching staff, all the coaches that have left to become head coaches somewhere else. Think about Alabama and their revolving door of offensive coordinators. The more successful you are as a program, the more other places are going to want to hire your people. That's why we see the coordinators from Super Bowl teams leave almost every year. They're hot commodities. My worry with that, when you look at, Nebraska athletics compared to some of these places, who's Nebraska athletic department's Nick Saban? There's not one in place.
No.
There's not that overriding, guiding force behind it that holds the system in place. When you're losing your top guy and then the lieutenant, somewhat frequently, I mean, again, Ronnie Green, gone.
Yeah.
Ted Carter, gone. Now Trev Alberts, door's cracked. Don't know if his foot's out the door, the door's swinging shut behind him. If he's shutting the door, what's going on necessarily? But I don't think Nebraska athletics is at such a stable spot a la Alabama football where fans are comfortable with all these people leaving. It feels like Nebraska is still searching for that stability, and then there will be that kind of institutional knowledge where people know how they have to step up into that next available job.
Man, that's a great point. And again, like one thing we need to really think about, like, you can't look down upon the man. If he hasn't made a decision yet, don't look down upon him for having a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
That would be that would be like there's someone you're dating that you haven't decided to put a ring on it, or you haven't decided to make a commitment, or she caught the bouquet and she just said, you know what, I'm not ready to go down the aisle yet. And you're pressuring for a relationship that is not even, made a decision on yet.
Right.
Like there hasn't been a decision made. I haven't decided to break up with you or anything like that.
You're not leaving the show. Thanks, Ricky.
Yeah,
appreciate that.
No, it's just, look, until that person decides to make a commitment, they have the right to go and date and go out with somebody else and go to the movies if somebody asks them, have a dinner or whatever the case may be, and make a commitment to that person.
Yeah.
So that's not what's going on at this particular point. It's just conversations.
Right.
It's just conversations. There has been nothing committed down there. I'm just, testing the water. We're just having a little drink at the bar, and we haven't decided to get married.
It sounded very
So
serious.
don't get mad. You can't get mad.
But
yeah,
who knows? Here's this from a reporter down in trying to get the okay, so can't find it. Statement from Texas A&M Associate AD Alan Cannon about Trev Alberts. Texas A&M President Mark Welsh appointed a 7-person committee to search for our new director of athletics. I have not received any notification from the president or anyone on the committee at this time. To your point, sounds like the committee, again, as of an hour ago, half an hour ago, was still doing some legwork to some degree.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not trying to cushion the blow for Husker fans and say, oh yeah, he's absolutely back. He's not taking it. I'm not trying to say, oh, he's absolutely gone. But Strick, think about the language being used when it first broke this morning. Texas A&M is targeting Trev Alberts. He is expected to take the job. I don't think people would just throw, top target and expected to take the job out there without some pretty good certainty that, hey, it's not a done deal yet, but it seems like they're nearing an agreement in principle and this is going to happen.
Well,
I don't know.
Yeah, well, until the great reverend says, I do, and you may kiss the bride, everything at this point is because I've seen a lot of runaway brides. I've seen it happen. So I'm not going to say anything until actually there's some ink pens being set on tables.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Let's address this too before we go to break really quickly. I'll just throw this out here. It's not because of the women's basketball lawsuit. It follows him. He's named in it. He can't leave it behind. Okay. He's not leaving because of that. Kind of like a show cause penalty, right? Strick, a coach gets in trouble for recruiting violations or tampering, whatever it is. They're slapped with a show cause penalty. Yeah, you can leave that job, but the penalty doesn't stay behind at your school. It follows you. The next time you have a job, hey, guess what? This penalty's still on you for the rest of the years. A lawsuit's following him. That isn't the only reason that Trev Alberts would be leaving. Here's my next question that I want to get to when we get back to On the Block. Is this situation more complex than we think? Is there more going on behind the scenes that we don't know? Or is it simpler than we think? Are we trying too hard to connect the dots? That's the question I want to ask when we get back to On the Block.
Power combo BOGO? Huh?
Yes, if you purchase an air conditioner, you receive a furnace completely free. At John Henry's, our professionals want to ensure you are comfortable in your home all year long, no matter what Nebraska has to throw at us. Call today to schedule your free estimate and learn more about the free furnace waiting for you. Give John Henry's a call today.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air.
And electrical.
The Omaha Supernovas are back in action this Thursday, March 14th versus the Atlanta Vibe at CHI Health Center in Omaha. The Mullen Motors pregame show with Derek Pearson and Renee Saunders starts at 6 p.m. with first serve at 7. Make sure to tune in to the next Ag Appraisal and Realty postgame show right after the match ends. Catch all the action on your flagship station, 93.7 The Ticket, and statewide on the Supernovas Radio Network.
School taught you all about the 4 seasons: spring, summer, and so on. And then there's the way we really tell what time of year it is in sports seasons: football season, baseball season, or off season. Well, what's the chocolate season? Well, it's now. And now, and now, and always. Whether you're looking for a caffeinated pick-me-up on the way to work, a little snack on the way home, or you need the perfect gift that's sure to be appreciated, it's time for the chocolate season. 40th and Old Cheney, or order ahead at thechocolateseason.com.
Perch Merch is your one-stop shop for all your printing and promotional needs in Lincoln, Nebraska. They specialize in screen printing, embroidery, vehicle wraps, window wraps, print collateral, promotional products, and signage. At Perch Merch, they are committed to delivering high-quality products and exceptional customer service. Their experienced team of designers and printing professionals will work with you every step of the way to ensure that your vision is realized. Call for a quote today at 402-217-5212 or go to perch-merch.com.
Hello, everybody. It's Charlie Stone, and here with me is Andy Goodyear of Honda of Lincoln. Andy, I hear that new Honda manufacturing continues to go up, and you have new Hondas in stock now.
That's correct, Charlie. We have more than 40 new Hondas in stock right now. It's great that a customer can come in and buy a new Honda and drive it home that day. New Honda inventory keeps getting better each month.
Okay, then. How about used cars, Andy?
We have more than 100 pre-owned vehicles to choose from right now, and a lot of fresh trade-ins are coming in daily. We have just about every maker model you can imagine in any price range.
Thanks again, Andy. People love the selection and great service at Honda of Lincoln. Maybe it's time you come experience the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business. 27th and Yankee Hill, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
Attention all Nebraska basketball fans. The NCAA tournament is coming soon, and Nebraska looks to be on its way to their first appearance in 10 years. Better Tree Removal wants to celebrate the occasion and any possible success in the tournament by offering a deal. If you're in need of tree removal on your property, call or text Todd by March 20th. If Nebraska wins the first round game, you'll get 25% off the bid. If they win 2, you'll get 50% off. You must contact Todd at 402-780-1377 before March 20th.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
The Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see partly sunny skies and more mild weather with an afternoon high around 71. Tonight, showers and storms are likely, the low around 48. And tomorrow, we'll continue to see scattered showers throughout the day. It'll be breezy and cooler with the high around 57. I'm meteorologist Kyle Tucker for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Spring often marks the beginning of severe weather, which can lead to power outages. LES wants you to be prepared before the storm. Restock your emergency kit, update your info with LES, and if you encounter an outage, report it at les.com/report.
Landmark Implement is your local authorized John Deere dealer. Landmark's trained and certified sales staff will help you find the right equipment for your needs at a price that's right for you, all backed by Landmark's extensive parts and service network. Whether it's a tractor, planter, combine, an easy track lawnmower, or gator, every piece of equipment in pre-owned inventory is put through a rigorous inspection so it's ready to work hard for you. Landmark's team works together to make sure everything that is sold meets their quality standards. Learn more at landmarkimp.com or stop into a local Landmark location and experience the Landmark difference.
Your child was embarrassed when you arrived at their basketball game. 75% of parents or guardians report current alcohol use. Drinking alcohol can cause harm to children and loved ones. By drinking less, your child will be excited to see you at their basketball game. If you or a loved one is looking for help, find a treatment facility near you at findtreatment.gov. For immediate support, call, text, or chat 988.
Brought to you by Nebraska DHHS in partnership with SAMHSA.
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is now open in Lincoln. Shop our expansive collection of wine, beer, spirits, and cigars at 5040 North 27th Street. From top shelf liquor to crowd favorite beer, Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits has a beverage for every taste and every budget. Plus, join our loyalty program to earn rewards and save on future purchases. Shop Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits at 5040 North 27th Street in Lincoln. That's 5040 North 27th Street.
Happy Hour. Gina Mancuso Pusowski of the Omaha Supernovas. You've played professionally for a few years. How emotional was that first match?
When I graduated the University of Nebraska, I thought that was it. I'll never play in front of my hometown. And going overseas where no one knows you, so you feel that isolation. To play in front of my family and friends, it's a dream come true. That first time I got on the court at the beginning of our season and the crowd erupted, I mean, it took everything in me not to expose my emotion.
Weekdays from 1 to 2. Now back to On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Great engagement today from the text line, from the YouTube streams, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook. Really appreciate you guys giving us your thoughts here on the news of the day. Trev Alberts, at least in conversations with the University of Texas A&M. 12th man College Station, Gig'em stand-up. We'll see if Trev Alberts officially takes the job or not. Still waiting on that official word. Couple things here, Strick. We don't have an answer to this, but I just want your gut feeling, your first instinct when you had some time to think about it. Does your gut tell you that Trev Alberts having these conversations goes deeper than fans might think? Or do you think it's more complex than, or you think it's more simple than fans are trying to make it?
I think the horizontal part of it moves me more out of the simplified aspect of it into more complex or nuanced ways, and more pieces involved in the decision than just, a simple, I've done my job, because it's unfinished. I mean, I just read the, the text, and that's kind of the way I feel. It's still unfinished, just beginning the work.
Mm-hmm.
Things are just now starting to happen. You've made decisions on specific coaches, and, you kind of want to see that through. This is just the beginning with Fred Hoiberg and the decision you made. You just hired a new football coach who's looking to have a turnaround. You just signed one of the top prospects at the quarterback position, which if you had possibly a good quarterback at that time, you probably, win 8 games. I think there's at least a couple of games in there with a with a solid quarterback that those games could have been wins. So you're bowling again. You're on the verge of bowling. You're on the verge of a new stadium renovation. You're on the verge of, NCAA. And I actually think both of these teams have a chance to do something in their respective NCAA tournaments. Wrestling is phenomenal. Volleyball, lost it to ship.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they've been there twice now.
To A&M's heated rival.
They went to a semis and but continuously doing. Yeah, you got, and you just look at the overall aspect of the programs down there. Which one would you like if you just had a scale, right, Austin? If you just had a scale, and I just rattled off what I just said to you, what program to you would seem to be the most stable one?
I would probably say Nebraska. Football coach in place, men's basketball coach in place, other, sports picking up the slack. Not perfect, but you have money for stadiums on the way. Maybe A&M would say, hey, we don't need money for stadiums because it's good enough. But I think I read that they're looking for money for a baseball stadium renovation.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot going on. There's a lot of levels to this. I want to go this direction here real quick, Strick. On the text line throughout the day since this news broke, the last time there was an opening, probably the time before that, people have continued to throw John Cook's name out there for potential interim athletic director, if not even, full-time athletic director. Why in the world are we doing that? Why? Why would you even throw that out there? Why would you put that in the universe? Not saying John Cook wouldn't be good. Clearly, the man knows what success is and looks like. But why would you create a problem for yourself where one doesn't exist? You have the greatest volleyball coach of all time in place. Why take him out of what he does well? Why would you do that? When John Cook wants to hang him up, he's laced him up for the last time, and then he's like, oh, sure, you guys need some help? I'll fill in for a little bit. Take him up on his offer. You don't tell him no. But to take John Cook out of coaching volleyball to take over as your athletic director makes no sense to me. You're creating another problem you don't need.
There's nothing set in stone. That would be just, I wouldn't even, look at doing anything of the sorts with that one. That would just be something that would totally throw me a loop. But yeah, man, I don't know, Austin. My mind's like right now flustered with all types of, just flooded with information that I just can't answer. I don't have an answer to, and it can be kind of frustrating in a sense. But hopefully we'll have an answer soon. Whether he comes out and says, yes, I would say if he decides to stay, he'd probably come out and say yes. There were discussions and there was talks, and they did, sit down with me and they want to, see where I was at, and I decided that Nebraska's home for me, or he's gonna say something to the other. I've done all that I can. There's just some outside things that, I don't want to get into at this particular time as to why I made my decision to go down there. It could probably be one of those two things. And I think Texas A&M would be a nice fresh start. I allow Nebraska to program. I think I've left it in a great place. And whoever takes over will be able to take it by the reins and run on. It's going to be one of those two things, I would assume.
Getting some full circle moments here from the text line. Mark in Lincoln says, this is a great power move by Trev Alberts. He's leveraging his job to get the university to get its act together. Now that's a twist. What if this whole thing isn't about Trev Alberts? What if Trev Alberts sees the bigger picture, understands his role in it, understands how he's viewed in the university system by the fans in the Big Ten Conference and across the country? And what if this is entirely a move on Trev Alberts' part to say, I'm putting my personal and professional legacy and safety and security on the line because I do love Nebraska, because this place, these fans, these people do deserve better. What if he's holding the stakeholders' feet to the fire? And by that, I don't just mean the Board of Regents, but they're involved. What about the donors, the boosters, the academic side? What if he's trying to hold their feet to the fire and say, hey, y'all get your act together or I'm leaving and you have another mess on your hands that I won't be around to clean up? Any validity to that?
I don't know if it's validity, but I would say there is
it
some
believable?
smoke to it. There's plausible. I think it's a plausible thing to a statement to make, but whether or not that be the case is, something else to be said.
8342 says John Cook interviewed for the athletic director job. That's why we're throwing his name around. I don't think those conversations were serious. I don't think John Cook.
But was that prior to?
That was part of when Trev Alberts came here after Bill Moose. Yeah. John Cook interviewed.
Then,
first, like you're saying, that was then. I don't think those were legit conversations. I think that was John Cook gathering intel, or the search firm, the people on the interviews gathering intel from John Cook. Again, one of the greatest coaches in sports history, not just Nebraska history, not just volleyball history. One of the greatest coaches, period, of sport, period, of all time, period. Why wouldn't you want to pick his brain? You do that, but John Cook wasn't going to leave the volleyball program to be the athletic. I just don't believe he was serious about that.
And I could see that. Just think about it from this standpoint, right? When did it happen for another great? It wasn't until he decided that I was done.
Mm-hmm.
So we're looking at Tom Osborne. I think John Cook
Phil
fits in
Fulmer.
that same boat, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at this particular time, he hasn't spoken of so. I think he feels there's work still undone for the program there at for volleyball. Going into a semifinal, new conference stuff. He maybe still feels there's some stuff that's left to be undone. I don't think with the new merger of those Pac-12 conference schools coming in, that he would want to leave the program unearthed and not grooming or mentoring somebody to take over the program. He could be doing that right now. There could be somebody that's there. I don't know if that's the case.
Okay. Augie says there's an interview clip that Cook said he would have jumped at the opportunity if they didn't find Trev. Tells me that John Cook didn't want the job unless.
Right.
If John Cook wanted the athletic director job, who are they to tell John Cook no? If that guy wants the job, like, okay, cool. Thanks, John. What I read into that is John Cook would have been willing to step up to the plate if Nebraska hadn't come through with the RBI-based knock that it needed.
Mm-hmm.
But John Cook didn't have to, so he's happy where he's at. Brad asks, why don't you have faith in Danny Buzzboom Kelly? Why are you so scared? Danny's great. Fantastic coach out there at Louisville. Do you want to be the guy after the guy? Whatever the next coach does at Nebraska will not replicate John Cook. It's going to be impossible to do. It's not about not having faith in a coach. He'd be great whenever John Cook hangs him up. Cool, bring her in. I'm all for it. I'm on board. I'll root for the same as I am John Cook's teams. But man, if John Cook still has coaching legs and wants to do it, I'm not going to be the one to push him out the door.
Right.
I want that guy around as long as possible.
Yeah, I mean, that would be like going down to Mike Krzyzewski and saying, "Oh yeah, Mike, it's you've been great, but it's time for you to go."
Mm-hmm.
No, you're not going to do that.
No,
you're going to allow him the space and time. He's done wonderful works and great things for your program and the university for all those years. John Cook's that for Nebraska volleyball.
And John Cook is closer to Coach K than even like an Izzo or a Boeheim. Izzo might be getting pushed out. Michigan State has not been good. Boeheim got nudged out of Syracuse because they've really dropped off from their heights. Husker volleyball hasn't dropped at all. Not the slightest. You can see the bright future in the bright horizon. I want to get to this as well. John in Cortland. If this goes down, have to have a Nebraska man. Ed Stewart is the only guy that meets requirements needed immediately. Ed Stewart, fine, cool. Bring him in. Seems like he'd be a good fit. Has to be a Nebraska guy? Abso-freaking-lutely not. Have we not learned our lesson from Scott Frost? It doesn't have to be a Nebraska guy. It doesn't have to be a guy. Get the best person for the job, no matter what. Are Nebraska ties and institutional knowledge nice? Absolutely. But sometimes, Stricky, you have a business mind. Sometimes you need continuity. Sometimes you need a spark. Sometimes you need fresh ideas. In a changing landscape of college athletics, you can't fall into the trap of being same old, same old.
I would have to agree with you in some aspects with that. I also would say one of the things that people don't understand, and I think that it's happened, and I've seen it on the recruiting trail, is there are a lot of people that just don't know how to recruit to Nebraska. It's just a uniqueness about it that you have to kind of understand the people. You have to understand, the town. You have to understand the state. You have to understand the mindset. If you bring somebody in from New York City, they would never get it. They wouldn't get it. It would, because you're talking about a total mind. Now, you may have ideas, but there's going to possibly be some conflict. You're going to want, now I'm not saying that it has to be a man or woman or whatever the case may be. I'm just saying you're probably going to want somebody that has a value on at least an understanding of Midwestern culture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and whoever that may be. I mean, you can come from anywhere, but you're probably going to want to have that at least to understand the nuances and the relationship building that would have to take place here, because it's different than if you're going out to DC or if you're going out to even Miami or you're going anywhere else. Now, some other people that like for instance, I could do it. No, I'm not saying I'm saying someone like
clap.
The reason I say it, no. The reason I'm saying is because I come from a military background. This is all I'm saying. I'm not saying me. I'm saying it's because I come from a military background. I've lived in Nebraska. I've lived in Montana. I've lived in California. I've lived in Texas. I've lived in Boston. I've pretty much
Alabama,
lived in
Florida, Indiana,
every place,
Vancouver.
So I understand cultures of a lot of different places and how the adaptations that's needed to integrate yourself into it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that's what I'm saying. It could be somebody that's been well traveled, it's been around the world, but they have an adaptability to be able to come into a place like this and quickly assess, read, and get an understanding of what this culture is like so that they can be effective in what they do as a job.
You and your experiences are exactly my point. You're not in Nebraska. You weren't born here.
No.
You chose to be at Nebraska. You put the work in. You went to high school here. You stayed here for college. You put in the legwork to build those relationships, to make this place your home. It's awesome that you've been around. You have those experiences, but those are helping you. Right? You didn't come in as some, coastal elite, arrogant, looking down on little old Nebraska.
Right.
You ingratiated yourself into the culture, got to know the people, met them where they were at, built those relationships. If it's someone well-traveled like you that comes to Nebraska, I don't care if they have no other connection to Nebraska, as long as they're willing to put in the legwork.
There you go. That's all I was saying. Yeah. You're basically in a different way saying the same thing that I'm saying. I don't care, but they just have to be able to have, because I'm telling you, I've seen it. I've seen high-paid, high-priced guys come into this place, and they kind of have that mentality. Oh yeah, there should be no problem. A lot of resources, a lot of money. I'm good. I can make it happen here, and don't understand how to sell it, how to navigate it, how to integrate yourself into it. And then you end up falling well short of what you in your mind thought you could do.
And what your fans think you should be able to do. It goes all those ways. He's Erick Strickland. I'm Austin Norman. Been a busy day here talking everything Trev Albert's potential departure. We'll wrap up the show, bring Boss Man DP in to cross it over, set you up for Old School next. Nebco is hiring CDL drivers for ready-mixed concrete, Husker concrete, and Beatrice concrete. Nebco offers great pay, medical and retirement benefits, paid time off, and we pay for CDL training. Apply today to earn an average total compensation of $50,000 to $60,000 your first year driving. From Nebco's beginning in 1908, it's the employees that have formed the company's solid foundation. Start your career today. Visit nebcoinc.com. That's NEBCOINC.com.
This is Brad with Midwest Bank, proudly serving our Nebraska communities for over 70 years. We're a community bank, making local decisions, supporting local organizations, and helping local businesses and farms succeed. We are dedicated to serving our clients and helping them meet their financial needs with sound, innovative banking solutions. From an array of checking and deposit accounts, cash management services, to small business, real estate, and ag lending. We're here for you. Your community, your bank, Midwest Bank. Find out more at midwestbank.com. Member FDIC.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports is quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Spring is on its way. Are you prepared to keep the grass greener on your side? Blades Lawn and Landscape has a position opened at a homeowner association to their client list with residential and commercial openings also. Transform your yard into a private oasis with the professional services offered by Blades Lawn and Landscape, including landscape walls and beds and a 5-step fertilizer program applied by a licensed professional. Call them today at 402-730-6320 or go to bladeslcc.com to schedule a free estimate on commercial or residential lawn services.
Imagine a healthier, more active, physically fit version of yourself. If you've been putting off getting into shape, now is the time with the Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping 10-Week Challenge. Our program combines kickboxing, strength training, and nutrition coaching to help you achieve your fitness goals. And ticket listeners, you can get $150 off the enrollment fee. The next challenge begins on March 23rd. You can get all the info at fxblincoln.com. Don't wait any longer. Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping at 40th and Yankee Hill and 70th and Vine.
Problem gambling is not just a financial issue. It's an emotional problem with financial consequences. If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction, contact Choices Treatment Center's 24-hour helpline at 402-476-2300. That's 402-476-2300.
The Omaha Supernovas are back in action this Thursday, March 14th versus the Atlanta Vibe at CHI Health Center in Omaha. The Mullen Motors pregame show with Derek Pearson and Renee Saunders starts at 6 p.m. with first serve at 7. Make sure to tune in to the next Ag Appraisal and Realty postgame show right after the match ends. Catch all the action on your flagship station, 93.7 The Ticket, and statewide on the Supernovas Radio Network.
The countdown is on for the biggest tournament in college basketball. The clock is ticking, and a whopping $1 million is waiting for you. Warhorse Festival of Games is giving you a chance to earn the bragging rights of a lifetime. Oh, and one massive jackpot. Will your bracket beat them all? Here's how it works. Rack up bonus bracket entries by hitting the slots and placing sports and racing wagers starting March 1st at Warhorse Casino. Lock in your winning picks online after the teams are announced March 17th. Then activate your brackets in person at Warhorse Casino Lincoln by the 24th. The best brackets will win prizes each week, and a perfect bracket puts $1 million in your pocket. Get all the dates and details at warhorsecasino.com. Plus even more ways to score big. Only at Warhorse Casino Lincoln. Minutes from downtown at Highway 77 and West Denton Road. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Gambling problem? Call 1-833-BET-OVER.
Life is all about balance. So how about a little sweet and a little heat to make your week? At Wings and Rings, we're introducing our all-new Hot Honey menu for the month of March. Try our one-of-a-kind house-made sauce on the brand-new Hot Honey chicken sandwich or our Hot Honey shrimp and slaw. And of course, you can get it on the traditional boneless or smoked wings that have made Wings and Rings your go-to neighborhood spot. But don't wait, Hot Honey is only here until April 1st. So stop by Wings and Rings at one of our 2 Lincoln locations today, on O Street and on Village Lane.
Nutrition Authority invites you to try Anarchy, which is an exciting free workout for athletes and fitness enthusiasts who want the most out of their workout. Anarchy can only be found at Nutrition Authority. Remember, when you want results, the solution is simple. Nutrition Authority. Stop in, call, or check us out at mynutritionauthority.com.
Okay, it's time to sell the house. How do we even begin to choose from the hundreds of realtors in town?
Easy. We make a pros list.
You mean a pros and cons list?
No, just a pros list. We need someone with pro photography to showcase the house in the best possible way, pro marketing to make sure we get maximum exposure, manager pro negotiations so we know we get the best price.
This is one of those times where you already know the right answer, isn't it?
You know it is. Ben Blecker and Professional Realty Group.
Contact Ben Bleicher and the team at Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway's Home Services Ambassador. Online at prg-ne.com.
Happy hour. Gina Mancuso Prasowski of the Omaha Supernovas. You've played professionally for a few years. How emotional was that first match?
When I graduated the University of Nebraska, I thought that was it. I'll never play in front of my hometown, and going overseas where no one knows you. So you feel that isolation. To play in front of my family and friends, it's a dream come true. That first time I got on the court at the beginning of our season and the crowd erupted, I mean, it took everything in me not to expose my emotion.
Weekdays from 1 to 2. Now back to On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Let's do this. Let's wrap up On the Block. Austin Norman, Erick Strickland with you, joined by DP. Welcome in, DP.
Gentlemen.
We're having a day. You having a day?
What? Why?
Well,
What's going on?
You know, one of the most powerful positions in the state of Nebraska may or may not be opening soon. We'll see.
Why?
We don't know. That's what we're trying to get to the bottom of, DP.
Okay. So, okay. All right.
That's what we've been doing for 2 hours.
Okay.
It's been a lot of. It's just been a lot of questions. Like one of the things I made an assessment. There's so many things that could be going on, whether it be internally. I talked about a ranch. I said, the vision that I got was like having a ranch. You have a ranch with a vision of, I'm going to put some wheat over here, some soybeans. Yeah, I think I'm going to put a head of cattle. Got a little lake down there. I'm going to put some fish in it. That's kind of the vision that you have when you have your home. It's internal. Then you have landscaping and you have fence lines. And then you probably have some security elements that you're looking on the outside. Mm-hmm. The outside stuff is everything that's kind of coming at you from the outside. You got a neighbor that's got some paraphernalia. Is that right? Paraphernalia. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Got some paraphernalia activities going on. There's a lot of guns fired, ranging going on over here. So there's some things you're kind of watching on the outside. What we don't know is whether or not it's in-house stuff that, my seeds have been planted, but they haven't fully grown yet. That's Coach Rule. That's Coach Hoiberg. That's, the volleyball program going to a whole nother, wrestling on the verge of breaking through. That's all the stuff that's being planted that he hasn't seen through yet. And all the outside elements, things you don't know, that's just the stuff you see on the camera, but you just don't know what's going to approach or what it is. We don't know what it is that's going on. And so that's why it's hard we're not speculating. We're just asking questions. What would make you want to even consider a lateral movement? What would want you to even think about jumping to you're already in the Big Two. You're one of the top paid ADs. You just signed a new contract. What would make you even think about that jump? So that's why we're just thinking about.
Who are you?
Yeah.
Who are you?
What did you come here for?
In order to, and we try to get to answers without asking questions. And so I'm a real fan of asking for questions, asking more questions. Coach Osborne could have left several times. Not sure that even at the, hey, I can get to the championship game but can't win it conversation, he stayed because it was what he wanted to do. This is where he wanted to be. Still here, right? So there are those things that exist. There are also people who, if you don't identify what their thing is, you never can identify who they are or what they're going to do. I had the discussion, I've had it with Jay several times, that I get offers now that I never got when I was a freelance. Organizations, teams, networks, a lot of money. Yeah. It's not where I want to be. If you don't know why or what you're doing or who you're talking about, I'm not moved by that. Doesn't move me that way. So I would rather work with people that I want to work with and for. That's it. That's it. That's who I hire. I hire people here that I want to work with, that I want to see succeed. And I'm not going to leave them until they succeed, which is up to them, right? That's me. And then I ask people what they want when they get here. And there are people that are satisfied, easily satisfied. Okay, that's cool, right? There are people that are never satisfied. That's cool too. You have to know who you're talking about and what the situation is and circumstances is. You know, this whole thing with Nebraska athletics and University of Nebraska and saying, it has to be somebody from Nebraska. Well, I'm not from Nebraska. Should I pack up all my stuff and leave? Does that mean I don't care about Nebraska in the way that I think best represents Nebraska? Does that mean I'm not trying to make Nebraska better because I'm not from Nebraska? Maybe I had to be from somewhere else to get the right perspective of Nebraska. Maybe I get a deeper appreciation of Nebraska. I chose Nebraska. I wasn't born here. I chose Lincoln, Nebraska. And I chose Lincoln, Nebraska. I didn't choose Omaha. I didn't choose Kearney. I chose Lincoln, Nebraska. And I chose to do this in Lincoln, Nebraska. So when other people approach me about doing another thing, I'm cool. I'm cool.
Yeah, you're not easily swayed.
I'm cool. Mm-hmm. So,
because you know the purpose, the plan, the vision that you have set.
I'm cool.
Yeah,
I'm cool. I chose to be here without all the success. I chose to be here just because I thought it was the right place.
Yeah.
Get that ID in. We can do our thing, right?
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
The other thing I want to touch on real quick, DP, is you always talk about simple, right? Make it simple. At the base level, it's simple.
Mm-hmm.
Something on the text line keeps popping up, and I went off on it, and I want your take on it. People keep throwing John Cook's name out there as athletic director.
Mm-hmm.
I get, seems like a great leader. There's a reason he's been as successful as he's been. Would be a great choice for athletic director.
Yeah.
Where I say keep it simple is, hey, you have a volleyball program that's rolling. He's a resource, but don't take him out of where he's already great if he still has the energy and the mileage for it. If he wants to be AD later, okay, cool. He can do that. But why would you say, nope, Coach Cook, we want you to be over here. We need you over here. Worse than that, when his passion is still coaching volleyball.
So answer the question, why? Why are you constantly pulling people out of situations and circumstances that work for them?
That's my question.
And is he in a position where he's having the greatest impact on the university? And what is that impact that you want it to be? Like, what do you want from John Cook? And then more importantly, when you ask people to do things, what's in it for John Cook? What's the best thing for John Cook? And John Cook will tell you, man of character and success and intelligence, he'll tell you what's good for him. Okay, so let him. There are too many people who don't live John Cook's his existence, don't understand his intellect or his drive or ambition because you haven't done the things that John Cook has done. The people that would be in air quotes bosses of John Cook's don't know what John Cook has done and how, and don't appreciate what he's accomplished. Leave that man alone until that man decides from his level of greatness and his accumulation of greatnesses that he wants to do the next thing. And if he wants to do it, it wasn't a Trev thing anyway. Mm-hmm. That's a John Cook thing. That's a John Cook, Nebraska thing. And if Nebraska thought that John Cook was the guy, that would have been the easy decision then. Not now because, I ain't really like you. Strick will tell you, there's a woman you want, and if she don't want you, she wants somebody else until, and then Strick, I was wrong.
Spin the block.
No, no. And here's the other thing: I don't speculate on what John Cook wants. I'm just going to applaud and admire the man. Like, do you think?
But I said the same thing, DP, right? Because Tom Osborne was in a similar situation. You don't just go up to Tom Osborne and just be like, yo, man, Why don't you just leave that and come on over here?
Yeah, like
You don't do- that's weird.
it's a weird thing. You know, I work from what I know to be true. There's and my that hunch and intuition is based on an accumulation of experiences. There's never really a hunch. It's really, the deja vu of being in this situation and circumstance before leads me to lean in a certain direction. It's a movie I've seen before. I've seen this movie before. I kind of know how that works. That's coaching and leadership and management is one foreshadowing this thing towards a goal, towards a thing. My fear in all of this is that there are people that need to decide out loud and in public what the end goal, game, priority, focus is. Because that'll answer all the questions and it removes all the doubt and all the fear. But my fear, and I don't fear much, but in this particular case, my fear is that people are making decisions based on a thing we don't know exists. Like, what are you trying to do? If you're the Board of Regents, what are you trying to do? Like, what's the ideal? What is the ideal for you? Is it money over wins? Is it championships over student experience? I've said this for every day that I've been here. I would love to know what Nebraska's end game in the GPS that says ideal Nebraska athletics, what that is, what's ideal. And then in that, you got to figure out what's really possible, because winning every title it's a wonderful dream, not necessarily reasonable. What's a standard? What's the thing you're going to hold to? When things get shaky, right? They say every relationship is determined by how you handle it when it's shaky, not when it's good. How it's good is why you got in it. How you stay in it is what the rules are for engage. Like when things go hairy, what are you going to do? Are we going to remain calm? Are we going to talk to each other? Are we going to consider each other? Are we going to work in our humanity, or are we going to work from our ego? And that's where you get to the real good stuff and say, okay, at the top of the pyramid for Nebraska, is it money and power, or is it other? And other can be people. Other can be the student athletes. Other can be the fan base that's sitting on this text line going crazy today because you're affecting them in a way where they don't have control over, and they probably don't have an understanding of what the mission is.
Well, if you don't have an understanding, how can they?
100%. And maybe that's on purpose. And that's why you're never going to understand why things are done the way they're done, because they don't want you to know. Because you're not sure that it's the right thing or a good thing, and it doesn't represent the people. Like, I would invite people into the space. So if I'm a coach, parents, administrators, come to my tryouts. Here's an open invitation. I would directly invite you. Here are the rules of engagement. Here's how we're going to get down. So you have a full understanding of what my goal is, what my expectation is, and how I work. And then when things go left, you get to tell me, DP, that's not what you said we would do. And then you can hold me accountable for it. But if there's a mystery and there's no GPS, you can't say, well, wait a minute. You said this was for us. You said this was for the student athletes, the student experience at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. You said this, but now it's something else. And that works for the faculty, that works for coaches, that works for everybody. To find out what is it exactly, what is this Husker thing?
Yeah.
Right?
Does that create instability?
It has to. That's where chaos grows from, is unfamiliarity. There's a coaching tag that's used that when chaos happens, and this is what I tell my players, especially point guards, quarterbacks, catchers, pitchers, when chaos happens, slow down. And chaos ceases to exist because there's clarity. You only panic when you don't know what you're doing. Calm, cool, collected. If you know what you're doing, hey, no, we're being Huskers right now. And you have to ask what the deal is. Like, it's fair to say that we all want Nebraska at its ideal. Fair? That's a common thread, right? We all want, everybody texting, everybody listening, wants this community to do well. And I said, notice that I said the community, because without the community, that thing down there can't exist and it doesn't have value. So community should be at the top of the list, shouldn't it? Well, the people. Okay, let's start there. And if ESPN calls me today and asks me to come to work for them, they call and say, hey, we need to talk to you about a job. Nah. I'm good. I'm good. Texas A&M can call. They can email. You know what happens to it? Click. Straight to the trash file.
That's if you know.
If you know. If you don't know, chaos is about to happen because you're going to click it with curiosity. You're going to reach out to them, give them the idea that things ain't working, and we're going to be on some other stuff.
I can imagine more of the same for the next 2 hours, DP.
We're going to get after it. I want to know. Who we are. Like, I just want to know. That's all we're going to talk about. Who, what's this Husker thing all about?
There we go. I want to shout out my wife real quick. She texted me this. Along the same lines with arena names changing and everything, why do athletic directors need to move all around? Like, just stay put, people. Life is fine. LOL, there's just so much unnecessary movement.
You know why you married her? She's a genius. Because
the
lead is here's the real question. Is Trev Alberts in the transfer portal?
There it is. Old school discusses that. Next.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
The Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see partly sunny skies and more